For at least the first half of 2023, I'm pretty much only going to be using one credit card, and that credit card is going to be my Hilton Surpass card. Now, I do understand this might sound a little weird because I typically use 4 to 6 different credit cards to cover all of the major spending categories in my credit card setup. So why am I only going to be using the Hilton Surpass card? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why I'm only going to be using my Hilton Surpass card to start 2023, why I'm going to get a really high return on spend from doing so, and how I'm going to get a bunch of added value for future travel such as my honeymoon. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Okay, so really quick, before I get into exactly why I'm only going to be using my Hilton Surpass card to start 2023, I first wanted to give a brief overview of this credit card. So the Hilton Surpass card is the mid-tier credit card within the Hilton ecosystem, and the Surpass card currently has an annual fee of $95. The Hilton Surpass card currently has a super high elevated welcome bonus, which you'll be able to receive 130,000 Hilton Honors points if you're able to spend $2,000 or more in the first 3 months. Regardless, this is a fantastic welcome bonus, but you do need to consider that Hilton points are typically valued at 0.6 cents per point, which would mean that the value that you could get from this welcome bonus would be about $780. The point multipliers on the Hilton Surpass card are going to be for 12x back at Hilton properties, 6x back at restaurants, 6x back at grocery stores, 6x back at gas stations, and then 3x back on everything else. Those point multipliers are really good, but again, you do need to account for the 0.6 cents per point that is the average Hilton point value. And when you do that, you can basically divide all of those multipliers by 2, and then you can get the adjusted multipliers for the lower point value. In terms of the main benefits on the Hilton Surpass card, the main reason that people get this card in the first place is because you'll get automatic Hilton Gold status, which a lot of people value significantly higher than the $95 annual fee that you have to pay on this card. And then the Hilton Surpass card will also get you airport lounge access, as you'll get 10 free visits to Priority Pass lounges every single year. But the benefit on the Hilton Surpass card that is going to be the reason that I'll only be using this card to start 2023, and it's the reason that I'll be putting all of my major expenses on this credit card, is because if I'm able to spend $15,000 or more in one calendar year on my Hilton Surpass card, I would be awarded with a free night certificate. Now, I will get into exactly why I'm deciding to put all of my spend on my Hilton Surpass card to get that free night certificate, and exactly what my plans are for using the free night certificate in the future. But first, I wanted to discuss exactly what that free night certificate is and all of the relevant details that you need to know. So free night certificates are a common benefit on hotel credit cards. So on some other hotel credit cards, like with Marriott and Hyatt, you'll also have the opportunity to earn a free night certificate. But the big difference here is that the free night certificates that you receive with Marriott and Hyatt are going to be capped. So for instance, on the Marriott Bonvoy Boundless, you'll receive a free night certificate, but that is going to be capped at 35,000 points. And then on the Chase World of Hyatt, you'll also receive a free night certificate, but that is only going to be valid for a mid-tier type of hotel, because that is only going to be valid up to category 4. But the free night certificate that I could earn on my Hilton Surpass card would be completely uncapped, which basically means that I could use that on pretty much any property worldwide, including luxury type properties like Waldorf Astorias and places like the Maldives. So that free night certificate is going to be really valuable, but there are going to be some caveats in terms of exactly what you'll be able to redeem it for. So first of all, while the free night certificate is completely uncapped, you typically cannot redeem that for all-inclusive resorts, and when you do pick a specific property, you do need to redeem that certificate for rooms that are coded as standard rooms, because you were unable to redeem that certificate for suites or more premium rooms. But even though you will need to redeem that free night certificate for a standard room, there is still a ton of value that can be found from Hilton free night certificates, and some strategies that you can use to redeeming your certificate for maximum value is to redeem that certificate at the highest tier property that is available for your travel situation, and then also redeeming it on a night that is a special night, so like a holiday or something like that, where the cash rate is typically much higher. Okay, so I'm planning on putting all of my spending on my Hilton Surpass card to get that free night certificate, but why exactly am I planning on doing this right now in 2023? Well, I'm actually getting married in late July, and so I'm currently taking a look at some different options for a honeymoon, and so being able to use a free night certificate to stay at a luxury hotel sometime during that honeymoon would be perfect timing. Free night certificates that you receive from hitting the minimum spend on the Hilton Surpass card are typically going to be available to you in 8 to 12 weeks past when you hit the spend requirement. So to ensure that I get that free night certificate before my honeymoon, this basically means that I'll need to hit the spend for the Hilton Surpass card by the end of April at the very latest. And while it does typically take 8 to 12 weeks from hitting the spend requirement to get the free night certificate, I did see an article on the Points Guy in which the author discussed how he was able to receive that free night certificate only 4 days after hitting the spend requirement. But again, this is my honeymoon, so I don't really want to roll the dice on when I'll actually receive that free night certificate. So optimally, I would hit the spend requirement to get the free night certificate by the end of March. Normally, there's just no way that I would realistically be able to do this. But again, since I have a wedding in late July, my fiance and I have some higher expenses related to our wedding that make it possible to hit the spend requirement on the Hilton Surpass card. Okay, but I know when I'm watching a YouTube video and I'm trying to learn some information, it really helps to be able to actually see a concrete example. So now I'm going to get into a specific example of a potential honeymoon booking that I could do to kind of illustrate the amount of value that you can get from that free night certificate. Really quick, before I get into that specific booking, I did just want to let you all know that I do have a link down in the description of this video that'll allow you to get the high welcome bonus and sign up for the Hilton Surpass card. So if you're interested in getting the Surpass card, then checking out that link is a great way to help support the channel. All right, so as of now, the plan for a honeymoon booking would be a total of 6 nights on 2 separate bookings. So the first booking would be a 5-night stay at a Hilton property, and then the second booking would be the free night certificate. The reason for this is because when you use points to pay for a stay of 5 nights or more at a Hilton property, you get the 5th night free, which basically means that I'll get a 20% discount in terms of the amount of points that I need for that booking. And then the other reason for that is because I would probably stay at a different property for that 6th night with the free night certificate, because I would try to go as high end as possible and pick a really luxury property to get the most amount of value for that free night certificate. So as an example, let's say that my fiance and I wanted to go to Hawaii for our honeymoon, and we wanted to experience multiple different islands while also making sure to maximize the value that we get from that free night certificate, and then keeping that 5-night booking somewhat affordable as well. Well, then one option for our booking is that we could book this 1 king bed city view at the Hilton Waikiki Beach in Honolulu. And if we did that, we would only have to pay 60,000 points per night. We would get the 5th night completely free. We would be able to stay at a really nice property, and we would still get more value for this booking than the average Hilton point value when you consider that we would get the 5th night completely free. Then, in order to experience another Hawaiian island and to be able to maximize the value that we get from our free night certificate, we could take a quick and cheap flight on Hawaiian Airlines over to the island of Maui. But then we could use our free night certificate to book a room at the Grand Wailea Waldorf Astoria in Maui, which we would get at the very minimum a value of over $1,100, because that's the cheapest rate for any room at this property. Okay, so at the start of this video, I mentioned how putting all of my spending on my Hilton Surpass card to get that free night certificate is going to give me a much higher return on spend than I would normally get with my credit card setup. So now I'm going to get into exactly how that is the case. First of all, most of my higher wedding expenses are going to be coded in the everything else category. And on the Hilton Surpass card, I get 3x back on everything else, which is actually going to be like 1.5x back on everything else when you account for Hilton's lower point value. Still though, I can then consider that all of my purchases, including my higher wedding expenses, are going to get me 1.5x back. And then if we take a look at the return on spend for that free night certificate specifically, if I was able to book a room at the Grand Wailea Waldorf Astoria in Maui, I would get a value of at least $1,100, and the spend requirement for that free night certificate is $15,000, so this would represent a return on spend of 7%. But then we also have to consider that I would be earning 1.5x back on all of those purchases, so if we add that to the 7% return on spend, then if I was able to use this free night certificate at the Grand Wailea, I would get a total return on spend of 8.5%. However, that would be the best case scenario, so if we take a more conservative approach, let's say that I found a property to utilize that free night certificate that was going to give me a value of about $600, so if we account for that $600 in value and then the $15,000 in spending, then that would represent a return on spend of 4%. And then if you add in the 1.5x back on everything, then I would still get a total return on spend of 5.5%, which is still going to be much higher than my regular credit card setup. Now, I will acknowledge that getting the welcome bonus on a new credit card would still likely give me a higher return on spend than this strategy of utilizing my Hilton Surpass card, but the timing works out perfectly because I'm currently entering a little bit of a gardening phase in my credit card journey, which I don't have any pressing needs for any new credit cards to add to my setup. And then I also have the honeymoon coming up, what is a perfect time to utilize that free night certificate. The next credit card that I plan to get will actually be my first business credit card, and that card will likely be the American Express Blue Business Plus, but I'll plan to open that card in April once I'm done with all of the spending for my Hilton Surpass free night certificate. So having the opportunity to earn a super valuable Hilton free night certificate is exactly why I'm going to be putting all of my spending on my Hilton Surpass card to start 2023. So if you also have a Hilton credit card and you want to take the points that you earn on your Hilton credit card to the next level, then check out this video next, because in this video, I'll go over how to redeem Hilton Honors points for maximum value. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I appreciate all of you for watching, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Peace.